Welcome back to the Modern Success Show, the podcast where we unpack what it really means to thrive in today's world. I'm your host, John.
And I'm Emily. It's great to be with you all. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think is on everyone's mind, whether they realize it or not. The idea that success just isn't what it used to be.
Right. It's a huge shift. The playbook our parents and grandparents followed, it feels like someone's torn out half the pages and scribbled new rules in the margins.
Exactly. We're talking about moving beyond that classic image of success. You know, the corner office, the six-figure salary, the white picket fence.
The whole package.
That whole package, we're going to explore what caused this change, what the new definitions of success look like, and how we can all start building a life that feels genuinely successful to us, not just one that looks good on paper.
So, to really get into it, let's first paint a picture of that old model of success. What are we really talking about? For me, it was always the corporate ladder.
The latter.
Yeah, you get a good job at a big, stable company right out of college. You put in your 40, 50, 60 hours a week for 40 years. You climb rung by rung, get a bigger title, a bigger office, a bigger paycheck. You buy a house in the suburbs, raise a family, and then you retire with a gold watch and a healthy pension. That was the script.
That was the script. And it was a compelling one, because for a specific generation, it worked. The post war economic boom created a landscape where a single income family could afford a house, a car, and an annual vacation. There was a sense of societal progress that was directly tied to corporate loyalty.
You're so right. It was a social contract. You give the company your time and your loyalty, and in return, they give you security. My own grandfather did exactly that. Worked at the same engineering firm for his entire career. He talked about it with immense pride.
Of course, because in his world, that was the pinnacle. It meant stability, respectability. But think about the trade offs that were just accepted as normal. The idea of work life balance didn't really exist. The job came first, period. Personal passions, hobbies, those were for the weekends, if you weren't too exhausted.
Oh, completely. The company man, the organization man. It was an identity, and deviating from that path was seen as risky, even foolish. If you were job hopping every few years, you were seen as unreliable, not a team player.
Unreliable, yeah, not a team player. And success was also incredibly gendered in that model.
Hugely.
The man was the breadwinner climbing the ladder, and success for women was often defined in the domestic sphere. That's a massive part of the old playbook that has thankfully been radically rewritten, though we still have a long way to go.
No question. And it was all based on external validation. The car you drove, the title on your business card. These were the metrics. Your internal sense of fulfillment, that was a luxury, not a necessity.
So, what broke that model? What made us start questioning that whole climb? I think a huge piece of it has to be technology.
Oh, absolutely. The internet changed everything. Suddenly, the world got a lot smaller, and the gatekeepers of information and opportunity started to lose their power. You didn't have to go work for a massive corporation to have access to a global market anymore.
Exactly. You could be a freelancer in Nebraska with clients in Singapore. You could start an e commerce business from your kitchen table. The rise of the gig economy and remote work completely decoupled the idea of work from a physical office.
Right. The pandemic was obviously a massive accelerator.
A huge accelerant. Companies that swore remote work was impossible were suddenly forced to make it happen overnight. And a lot of people got a taste of that autonomy and flexibility and realized they didn't want to go back to the old way. They didn't want the 2 hour commute. They wanted to have lunch with their kids.
And I think there's a massive psychological shift that's been happening alongside the technological one. Generations like millennials and Gen Z came into the workforce often saddled with debt, having seen their parents lose jobs in the 2008 recession. That promise of corporate loyalty being rewarded, it was already broken for them.
That's such a key point. The trust in those traditional institutions was eroded. So instead of looking for stability from a single employer, they started looking for fulfillment and control in their own careers. And that created a vacuum. If you can't trust a company to take care of you, who do you trust? You have to trust yourself.
Right, it forces a shift towards self reliance. You become the CEO of your own career. You are the one responsible for your skill development, for your financial planning, for building your own safety net.
You are the brand.
You are the brand. And social media poured gasoline on that fire. Suddenly, you had platforms to build that brand. You could bypass the traditional gatekeepers and connect directly with an audience or a client base.
And that's where you see the conversation around mental health and burnout really taking center stage. It's not just about earning a living anymore, it's about making a life. People are asking, is this job draining my soul? Is this pressure worth the paycheck? These weren't questions that were really asked, or at least not valued in the old model.
For sure, the conversation has completely changed. It's moved from how high can I climb to how sustainable is this journey for my well being, which brings us to what this new success actually looks like. If it's not the corner office, then what is it?
I think the key word is personalization. It's not a template anymore, it's a custom build. For one person, success might be the 4-hour work week and traveling the world as a digital nomad.
Right.
For another, it might be working a stable 9 to 5 that they don't have to think about after they clock out, because it gives them the time and energy to focus on their family, or their art, or their community work.
Exactly. The focus has shifted from wealth accumulation to what I'd call richness of life. It's a portfolio. Your career is one part, but so are your health, your relationships, your hobbies, your personal growth, your impact on the world.
A portfolio of life. I love that. It's holistic. It recognizes that a high paying job is meaningless if you're too stressed to enjoy it, or if your relationships are falling apart. And it's not static. Your definition of success can and should change as you go through different life stages.
Oh, absolutely. What you wanted in your 20s, maybe it was adventure and risk, is probably very different from what you want when you have a young family.
Totally. My definition of success in my early 20s was all about getting that byline in a national publication. That was the goal. Now, success is being able to shut my laptop at 3 p.m. to pick up my daughter from school without feeling guilty. It's a completely different metric.
A totally different metric. And I think impact has become a much bigger piece of the puzzle. People want to feel like their work matters, that it's contributing to something bigger than just a corporate bottom line.
For sure. You see that with the rise of B Corps and social enterprises. There's a desire to align financial goals with positive social or environmental outcomes. That, for many, is the ultimate success, making a good living while making a difference.
And this is where that portfolio concept comes back in. Maybe your day job pays the bills, but your success comes from the volunteer work you do or the open source project you contribute to. It's about a balanced scorecard.
A balanced scorecard. I'm stealing that one. It's perfect. But we have to acknowledge this new vision of success isn't accessible to everyone in the same way, right? It can sound a little privileged.
That's a fair criticism. It's one thing to talk about leaving your corporate job to follow your passion if you have a financial safety net. It's another thing entirely if you're working two jobs just to pay rent and put food on the table.
Right. The follow your passion mantra can be toxic advice for someone whose primary need is stability. Basic needs have to be met before you can even start thinking about self actualization and life design.
Of course, and we can't ignore that the gig economy, while offering flexibility, often lacks the safety nets of traditional employment, like health insurance, retirement benefits, or paid time off.
A big problem.
So there is a dark side, and we've also seen the rise of this new kind of pressure, the hustle culture. The idea that you need to be monetizing your hobbies, building a personal brand, and working 24/7 just on your own terms. That can lead to a whole new kind of burnout.
The entrepreneurial burnout. Yeah, You're your own boss, which means you're also your own harshest manager. It's easy to romanticize the idea of being an entrepreneur or a creator, but the reality is often just as demanding, if not more so, than a traditional job. It's not an escape from hard work.
Not at all. So the goal isn't to say that this new model is perfect or that the old one was all bad. It's about recognizing the shift and being more intentional about what we're aiming for.
So, as we wrap up, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we've moved from a monologue about success to a dialogue. The definition isn't being handed down to us anymore.
Right. We each get to co author it for ourselves, and that's both liberating and a little bit daunting. It requires a lot of self reflection.
It really does. You have to sit down and ask yourself the hard questions. What do I actually value? What does a good day look like for me? What kind of impact do I want to have? Not what my parents wanted for me or what society tells me I should want.
Exactly. So, our challenge to everyone listening is to do just that. Take some time this week to think about your own personal definition of success. Write it down. See how it aligns with the life you're currently living and identify one small step you can take to bring those two things closer together.
That's a perfect place to leave it. Thank you all for joining us on the Modern Success Show.
We'll be back next week with a whole new topic. Until then, go out there and define your own success.